cage. I got a show today. It's all I'm trying to do. Hustle and motivate. Choppers are throwaway. Hustle the overweight.
Hold on. Let me just turn that up.
They think I know the way. 'Cause I took control of things. Ballin' the stolen
One
way.
time for my man Nip, bruh. Damn, bro.
It's crazy.
Damn. That's that one hit me hard, man. Because I mean, I've been a Nip fan for a while,
Yeah.
and he was a completely like mixtape rapper, and then he dropped Victory Lap, which, man, I listened to that thing on repeat for like.
When did that come out again?
Victory Lap, shit, was that 2018?
Yeah. I mean, do you remember
Yes.
when? Though?
I don't remember
Like a
when.
springtime thing.
I don't think it was springtime.
A lot of the Grammy nominated ones I feel like came out in like the June, July time frame, or maybe May.
Because it came out before Cardi's, I know that for sure, and I don't know when Cardi dropped hers,
Yeah,
but
me
it was
neither.
shortly after though. And he would have won the Grammy if it wasn't for Cardi's album.
Yeah,
he was the runner up.
Yeah, that category was heavily.
It was stacked, man.
Yeah, heavily stacked.
It was
this year.
stacked
For a award show that's marred in controversy all the time because of one thing or another for who doesn't win or who does win.
Jesus,
it's
everything.
that one category was like, you were like, holy shit, it really could just go to anyone here.
That one, if anyone seemed fair,
Yeah.
that one seemed fair because
Yeah.
all those artists in there, you're like, oh yeah, I fucked with every single
Yep.
one of those
Yep.
albums.
Yep.
So man, it's really sad to see him go.
It's nuts. Like 2 of the 5 people in that category now deceased.
Wait, who's the other?
Mac was in that category
That's
too.
right.
Yeah.
Shit, bro.
Damn, that's 2 out of the last 3 episodes we've started with a song by a deceased person.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jesus.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's tough because it's like the whole thing with Nip, the reason people are all bent out of shape about Nip is because he started off in the gang life. You know, he was a Crip from Crenshaw, and he was heavily involved in that, and then he saw a different way out, and he started maximizing on his natural abilities, well, not natural abilities per se, but a talent he had, which was
Yeah.
rapping.
Yep.
And, you know, he got with Lauren London, had a son, was in his child's life, was starting businesses in his community, was giving back. And then to have that person who goes from like the antithesis of what everybody wants them to be to becoming the exemplary figure, and have that person be killed,
Yeah.
that shit is devastating, dude.
It is. Yeah. I know that, obviously we were talking earlier before we started that there's a video out of it. And then I know there was something to the effect of he posted on social media about
Having strong enemies,
literally right before it happened.
Yep.
So it's you wonder what it's tied to, if it's tied to his previous life or if it's an enemy from some other spot.
So there's a bunch of theories. So obviously there's this doctor called Dr. Sebi. He's claimed to have found the cure for cancer. I forget where he's from.
And that ties into this.
So
Interesting.
so a lot of conspiracy theorists are coming out and saying, oh, because he was shooting a documentary. Goodness gracious, dude! Because he was shooting a documentary.
Technical difficulties.
Because he was shooting a documentary on Dr. Sebi,
Nipsey
Hussle was, yes. And he actually, if you listen to Victory Lap, if you listen to it closely, he mentions Dr. Sebi's name a few times.
Okay.
And so, Dr. Sebi, they ended up incarcerating him, and he ended up dying from pneumonia in jail.
Damn.
And again, conspiracy theory was that they killed Dr. Sebi because he had figured out the cure for cancer.
And
it was a natural, holistic cure.
It's not profitable to have a cure for it.
Right.
It's more profitable to get all the money from the patients that
Exactly.
need the things that aren't curing them, but they're killing them slowly.
Correct. And so people think, because Nip was looking into that and tried to expose and shine light on that may have had something to do with his death. And my theory is, I think people reach for things when something as senseless as this happens because you want there to be some greater narrative, right?
Yeah.
Because that would put your mind at ease. But, I grew up in D.C., Prince George's County. At one time both were the murder capital. And I'm not so quick to chalk up shit to that because I've seen so many senseless murders over dumb shit. And I'm like...
Yeah, it could have been something very personal between him and literally that one guy that shot him.
Yeah. And
literally.
that's what I'm assuming it was.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things solved with guns nowadays. Hey, listen to the last episode. You'll see it's very pertinent.
Yeah.
Wait, we recorded that last Friday?
Yes.
He got shot last Sunday?
Yep.
Damn, like 2 days
after.
2 days
after we recorded that episode.
Damn, gun violence.
Yeah.
Put your guns down.
Please.
Shit.
And that's the unfortunate thing is, and especially, I don't know how it is like in the white community, but there's like the black community, there's like an honor culture type thing, but it's individual honor in terms of if somebody disrespects your personal honor, you have this obligation to prove that you're not a bitch, to prove that you're a man. And we got into this a little bit about how we, I think it has something to do with being raised by single mothers, right? You're not taught how to deal with those emotions as a man.
Gotcha.
So you feel like you gotta, because you feel like this person slighted you or, took your name in vain or and whatever, and that you have to now come back and do the ultimate to this individual to show that you're not a bitch and that he can't disrespect you.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily sure how it is in the white community. I mean, I would say that, maybe more on a family level, like if you disrespect someone's family in a certain way to a certain extreme or extent, but I don't know.
It's not really like that though.
Not necessarily, but also there's a lot more. It all depends on where you grow up, but there was a lot more space between people where I grew up, whether you were white or black, whatever. The neighborhoods weren't as mashed together just because we were in a wide open space with cornfields, cows, that type of thing. So, I mean, there still were apartments and places that were close together that were like housing projects, but at the same time, there was still space between people. Yeah. So I think when you get that, the closer quarters, it also makes a difference. So, but no, nothing like that specifically.
Yeah, but you do make a good point, because I did see like a lot of my white friends, a lot of familial honor, where if you fuck with their family, that's when they.
I've seen people
shit.
Get in vehicles with firearms, in order to go do something that doesn't end up happening, but it's the thought that counts, I guess. Does that work there? Does that work there? The thought, that's the thought. It's the thought that counts. That's what I gave you for your birthday. Pride and
enjoy.
Backup.
So it's yeah, man. For me, this is really unfortunate. I like I said, and most people were a really big fan of Nip. You see all those artists coming out in support of him.
Well, you see it too often in terms of it's just too publicized now. We talked about it last time that everything's out in the open. Like there's a fucking security camera. It literally caught the whole thing. If you want to watch the entire thing, you can. That seems to be a problem to me. Like
I would agree.
That's for his family. How does that feel?
I would agree.
Anyone can watch that footage at any time. But we talked about how it could have been gang related, but it could have been personal. It could have been. I mean, I don't think it was robbery related because it seemed like a very quick thing that happened. But just in terms of what we've seen in terms of kind of people that get robbed there, I mean, it can happen in that way just as well. It could be a robbery gone wrong. So it could be a plethora of reasons that things, got out of hand. But
absolutely,
it's wild that, you can be a Grammy nominated artist one day and
gone so
next.
quick.
Yeah. Just from a random person.
Just over a simple dispute. And, talking about the video, after I watched the Philando Castile shooting, I vowed to never see anything like that again in my life. So I go to unreasonable lengths to prevent myself from watching videos like that. I don't think it's good for most people's mental health. Yeah. So like a lot of people can see it and it has no effect on them. Hey, more power to you. But I do not like watching people get murdered in cold blood. It's just not my thing, right?
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So like I went out of my way to avoid watching it. And then one of my friends, he was texting me about it, and he describes what he did. And I'm like, dude, I didn't want it described to me either, bro. And then now I have to live with the fact that not only did the dude shoot him and then start walking away, he went, turned around, shot him twice in the head, and then kicked him for good measure, and then ran away. And that also ties into the greater topic of what we're going to talk about today. We're not going to get into it, but mental health. Well, how upset and fucked up in the head do you have to be to leave a situation go get a gun, come back, and still be mad enough to murder somebody.
Yeah.
If I leave that situation and go to do whatever, by the time I've left
I
that
didn't
parking
know
lot,
that
I'm good, bro.
He had been there and then came back with a gun.
He went and got a gun and came back.
I didn't know that.
You know, and I'm like, yo, by the time I leave a situation, I'm not mad anymore, bro. Especially if it's over some dumb shit. You know what I mean? But
yeah, it's a unfortunate. Unfortunate.
That is a tough one.
For sure.
That one hit me. That one out of all the popular people that have died.
It's crazy because I feel like the older you get, maybe the bigger bonds you put on the artists that you like or the athletes that you like as well. Because there's times when artists or athletes have died, and I have no reason, like I'm not their friend. I've never met them. I have no reason to be upset, but it fucking hits you, and it's because something they did in their career, which was meant for the fans and the people they try to entertain, and for themselves as well. But they affected them so greatly that after they die, you have such a great effect, and you're sad about it. You're upset. It hits you.
I completely agree, and I'd ask you this: do you think it's because when you're younger and you form these relationships with athletes and celebrities, there's not a deeper thing to connect you to that athlete because you're a child, so you're not necessarily for the most part going through hardships and all this other shit that you're using athletes to escape from. Maybe. So take for example, at the older you get, you're going through a bad breakup and then you listen to Cuddy, he gets you through. You're going through some shit at your job, you watch the World Series, and for a week you are fucking just it doesn't bother you anymore. It's like
a mental vacation.
Yes. So then as you get older, because you connect those two dots, I think that may be part of the reason. You think that may be part of the reason why people feel like that, even though they have no ultimate real life connection to this person?
Yeah, in some sort, because they connect to them in a way that's escapism, really. Right. I mean, that's all. That's not all it is, but movies, music, sports, all of it is a form of escapism when we're watching it, because we're not focusing on our lives, and we're completely fuck my phone, sorry about that. We're completely blocking that out. I'm sorry. But when we're doing that, it's still forming a bond with those people. So
absolutely.
I'm sure most people out there can agree they have some sort of infatuation with. I mean, just like we see with even the Kardashians, like some infatuation with some celebrity, because it's a form of escapism, but also you try to connect with them on another level to make it so it's you're almost type of a. You feel like they could be a friend of yours almost.
Exactly.
Yeah. So because even so, you can connect with your friends, your real friends, over those people, over their music, over what they did in sports. So
because I know for me, like when I had gone through a period in my life where I was just a complete fuck up, and I was like, dude, I think I might have ruined my life. On my journey to get myself out of that, I listened to Kid Cudi on repeat, right? So if something
good for that.
You know what I mean? So if something were to ever happen to Kid Cudi, bro, I'd be fucking floored, right?
Yeah, when he went to rehab, like I was like, oh shit, I hope the man's okay. Yeah, right, for sure. It's crazy. I mean, fuck, with fentanyl, you see so many, at least musicians, because they tend to do drugs, dying from it, whether they're old or young, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, dude.
There's a lot of people going through this that feel like their connection with the world is fading when someone passes away that's not actually close to them. So but let's I guess move on to some not necessary, I mean happier topics, but this is episode 14. Fucking 14. So today we're gonna focus on mental health. That's gonna be the main topic. We'll get into that completely later. There were a couple of news stories this week I wanted to bring up that not as down and negative as a lot of the stuff we do talk about. But one of the big things is, I think it was last year around this time, a satellite or a telescope, something, took an image of a black hole.
Oh, this is going to be intense.
Took a picture of a black hole a year ago. This coming week, I believe on Monday, which would be the 8th, they are supposed to release the photo of it. It took
a year to develop?
Yes, to process all the data because of how how much. Yes, yeah, I don't even understand it.
That's crazy,
Right,
son.
right, and so the people on the podcast are going to be able to see, but this is my background now. This is a rendering from NASA that they put out, and I was like, oh shit,
that's real.
No, they rendered it like an artistic impression of a black hole. But I was like, that's a sweet ass background.
But I mean, like, was it in terms of I understand rendered it means it's but is it like
based in science?
Based on an actual picture
so.
of okay, that's what I was trying to figure out, whether they were just like winging it based on what they believe, or whether they had, as the picture was developing, they're like, okay, based on what we have so far, this is what it's most likely going to look like. Was it more like that, or was it just their...
No. This is not what the one that they're developing is going to look like. This is just in the past, because they've never... You can't really see one.
Yeah.
So this is what they guess. Dude. This is their guess.
Dude,
I thought it looked so cool. I mean, if it looks even half as cool as that...
Are we supposed to know what a black hole looks like?
No, that's
what if it blows our fucking brains out?
I don't think we can see them. That's why they had to have the special camera, telescope, whatever, to take the picture. But the fact that it took that long to develop is insane. Nuts. I can't wait to see what it actually looks like.
Me too.
I might take the day off. I don't know.
Just to let your brain process the fucking picture.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna take a little while. I'll probably talk about it next week's episode.
I have a good feeling that, I mean, just like most things, we're going to look at that picture, and I don't think we will be able to truly understand what we're looking at. Right?
Yeah, it's because what black holes do is, I mean, they don't allow light to escape at all. So how can you see something where no light exists?
Because don't you need the light to be reflected back into your retina in order for you to...
I don't know. You're asking the wrong person there. Yeah, but it's at they're supposed to release it. Yeah, I think it's Monday.
Monday? Okay. I'm going to look out for that because, I love seeing shit like that. And you said you had a second one?
Oh, yeah. So, God, black holes are just wild, man. I don't know.
Black holes or black holes? Because both are wild.
Both. I apologize to the black holes.
Why we gotta apologize to the black holes? I don't need no apology.
The other thing,
I don't think they let light come out either, bro.
They actually, it's kind of like a two-part. I got like a two-part. So I believe it was North Dakota, they found basically a fossil of...
First and last time North Dakota will ever be said on this episode.
Maybe not, man. Apparently they have a shit ton of dinosaur fossils there.
Oh, really? Okay.
So they found like a 66 to 75 million year old fish.
So that was like
complete. The entire fucking thing. Also, a bunch of bones from other different dinosaurs in the same, like, basically mass grave.
Word.
A bunch of things, like, very well intact. The fish was the only thing that was fully intact. But basically, it's from I think how you say it is, Chicxulub asteroid.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah, that hit right in the peninsula there off of Mexico. And that, it was literally like minutes, they were all dead within minutes, but they were covered in like a whole layer of like lava or ash or something, so they're very well preserved. Yeah, and they found it was a huge discovery like within the last week or two.
Man, that's really fucking cool.
Then like 2 days ago, this one came out, an ancient four-legged whale with webbed feet and toe hooves discovered in Peru.
Mind is exploding.
Yes, so whales do not have legs right now, but they used to.
Oh shit! That means they used to be on land, right?
Well, yeah, I guess somewhat. But
so they could traverse land and water.
Probably. They look like big ass like seal alligators.
Wow,
that's how I would describe it.
It's
like a seal gator. Sealigator. That's a good one.
Holy shit!
I was like, damn, that's some wild shit. I mean, I'm fascinated when they find this shit because they only find pieces of them and then they kind of construct them. But the fact that they're able to reconstruct them just based on the technology we have now is just out there to me.
That is crazy to me. And for me, that makes me think about the fact that an asteroid, a meteor, can hit at any time, and it would obliterate civilization.
Easily every single week, I see a story about an asteroid that's
barely missing us.
Yes, yeah. There's one that they could see in South Carolina, Georgia, Florida recently, like 2 days ago.
There have ones that have hit, like very small ones, like very tiny rocks have hit in China and shit like that, and you're like, bro,
Hey,
what the fuck?
you think that maybe one has hit you and you just haven't noticed? Like it was like a small pebble by the time it hit you.
It would have made my brain explode.
No, I'm saying like by the time it got down here, it shrunk so much and just slowed down so much because it was just a grain of sand and it just flicked you in the side of the head.
I still think
Never
even
know.
that grain of sand falling from space would knock you the fuck out.
No, it would go right through to the ground. And you're like, what? You got a hole straight to your head.
You're just dead, dude.
Yep.
Yeah, dude. I think about
Never
that all
know.
the time. How we could be having a regular conversation like this and then lights out, nothing.
Yeah, I mean, they have somewhat of a warning, but the asteroids are moving so quickly. How are they gonna?
Let me ask you this though.
Okay.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Would it be in their best interest to tell us if an asteroid that could end
Yeah.
civilization
Yeah,
is
yeah.
about to hit?
Yeah, for sure. Some people could.
Why would it be?
Is there a way to get away from that?
There's
Can you go underground? No.
I mean, I've watched Armageddon a lot of times. I don't
Nobody-
think there's escaping that shit,
Yeah,
bro.
you can't go underground, but it all depends. Oh, okay. Touching on Armageddon, why did they train a drill team to be astronauts? Why didn't they just train some astronauts to use a drill? What the fuck is that about? How does that work?
Because it doesn't make for good TV.
Bruce Willis could have been a great astronaut. You could have put Ben Affleck as an astronaut.
Nah, because you had to make a show that people in Alabama could watch.
Oh God, I know him.
Nah, JK Alabama, I love y'all. I love y'all country folk.
No, we have no listeners there. Good riddance,
Nah,
Alabama.
that's all. That's the only people that listen to us.
I heard we're getting rid of y'all as a state. Just the rumor up here in DC.
Just what's going on.
That's what Trump said.
But not real shit though. I think about that a lot actually, or how the fact that
Do you?
yeah, I really do. Or take for example that the Antarctica, a lot of the ice is melting, and what keeps the temperature. One of the ways temperature is kept cool on Earth is by during the winter season and the ice freezing over, it reflects the sunlight. You know, white snow, anything white reflects sunlight,
Yes.
and black traps it.
Mhm.
Right. So the more the Earth warms, the less ice, the less surface there is to reflect the sunlight. So there's more surface to trap sunlight, which and then again it's a cycle that makes the Earth get warmer and warmer. And I think about that all the time. That dude, we might just be sitting here and just slowly cook.
Oh well, yeah. Well, we won't be alive, but yeah, our children's children may be cooking on the surface. I mean, it's gonna be hot.
It's gonna be really.
It is.
Hot,
I mean, I know you heard the episode with the climate scientist on Rogan. I don't remember his name, but the shit was scary.
Yeah.
It was kind of scary. I mean, he's like, if we had done something maybe 20 years ago, we'd be good, but we didn't.
Yeah,
And
so
we just
fucked.
ramped up all the cars and all the shit we use that pollutes the air and
Yeah.
basically gets rid of the ozone layer. And the sun, I mean, is putting out crazy solar flares
Yep.
all the fucking time and
Getting
messing
blasted
shit
by
up.
one right now, bro. I felt it.
I'm sure he
I seen
did.
it.
It's radiation. I mean, there's a lot of ways that we're crushing the earth, and it's just gonna bring us down eventually.
Dude,
But
we've when it comes to
We got a little time.
like the Amazon, we've decreased the Amazon by what, like 40% or something, and that's the largest rainforest.
dude, it's like you're saying stuff right out of that game I'm playing, because they're talking 20 years in the future, in like 2038, that there's like 60% of the rainforests are gone. All this oxygen's gone off the earth.
We're
Yeah,
close, man.
It is. The
We
game
are
is scary.
close,
It's
dude.
very spot on.
And I don't know what to do sometimes. I don't know if I should worry
Should I
about
hold
it.
my breath a little more?
I don't know
do
what
I gotta
to do.
save the oxygen for other people?
You know what I'm
Like,
saying?
don't breathe so hard. Like, save some shit for other people. Give to the needy. They need oxygen.
Stop running. This should be a no running
Yeah,
law.
god damn, y'all taking
Those quick
all the
breaths.
plants are out here just
Quick-ass
giving
breaths.
us all this oxygen, and y'all are so
Just exercising.
last weekend.
Oh, this is a PSA for fat people. We just did a PSA for fat people.
what? Don't run.
Yeah, don't run. Y'all are breathing less, so y'all are y'all are saving the earth.
You're telling them to be
fatter.
more unhealthy.
Yes,
Huh.
and I'm telling.
Are you secretly planning to get rid of fat people? Is that what you're doing right now?
We're gonna make the fat people skinny and the skinny people fat, bro.
Oh,
It's
You
gonna
have
be
a weird take over the world plan that no one's gonna follow. She'll be like, yeah.
Hey, dude. Nah, but real shit. I find myself asking, should I worry about this stuff? Considering that I sit there and I think they're saying people are cutting the rainforest down. People are.
How do you stop it?
I'm like, oh, am I doing that, motherfucker?
No, but how do you prevent it? I mean, you can donate money, I guess, in some way.
I
or
guess.
You can't really donate your time unless you really want to go to the rainforest and quit your job.
Yeah, and I'm good about that, bro.
You could recycle. I guess that helps.
Yeah.
Buy a very expensive electric car.
I mean, from what I've seen, recycling and all that dumb shit does its minimal impact because you're only one out of too many that's doing it, right? And it feels as if they're preaching to me and telling me that I'm doing wrong shit.
Yeah.
It's corporations. I'm not some fucking oil tycoon who's flattening entire civilizations. That's not me. So why are you directing this message at me? And then I'm just sitting here exasperated.
Guilt is
right?
the only way to motivate people
I guess.
in terms of climate change. Or I think money would motivate people too if there was like some type of tax that they've talked about, like the carbon tax. But maybe not even that, like just more of a tax on how much we use as a community, or maybe what type of stuff you use. Maybe if you use electric, there's a much higher tax on electric power than solar power,
right?
Or if you're using if you're burning fossil fuels, there's a higher tax on that. But it's like then a lot of different economies are going to go down based on the price of these fuels that people require every single day. We got to start relying more on like wind power, water, I was about to say space power, solar power, good old space power.
Yeah, dude, and there's a
dark energy and dark matter. Who knows?
If we figure that out,
harness that into the time machine, the DeLorean from Back to the Future.
Dude, and there, I also wonder. Okay, say we were to switch over to solar power, wind power, and all of those powers and energies that we feel are more convenient to life proceeding into the future. There are going to be external costs to that as well.
Yeah,
but we don't know what they are as of yet because we have never implemented it on a large scale.
You kind of have to make the mistake, and then you're like, fuck, we should have done it this way. This is the cost. This is the negative to it, and now we can figure it out and replace it. Sometimes though, if the negative outweighs the positive in terms of being an easier route, we go that way.
Of course we do.
We're doing it right now. That's why the fucking Earth's where it's at.
And I'm curious as to why that aspect of it is never brought up. Like, okay, switch to electric, recycle. All right, so what's the downside of recycling? Don't sit here and tell me that shit's all good. It's not all good. Nothing. I mean, we let's just start on the.
Give me some negatives.
No, I'm
give me some negatives of recycling.
No. I'm saying it from this point of view.
Too much time. Walking out to the recycling bin. I hate that shit.
No. I'm not saying from.
I throw plastic bottles in the trash all the fucking time.
Fuck this plastic. I'm not saying it in terms of I know what the negative cost will be. I'm saying it in the sense that we can make the assumption that. I mean, I think this is a fair statement to make that nothing is all good and nothing is all bad, right? So there will be something negative to it. And I'm not smart enough to know what that is. I'm just curious so given the fact that we know nothing is going to ever be all good, what is the downside? It's never brought up because there are people much smarter than I am who know what the downside is, but they're just not saying it.
Of reusing plastic and not making new plastic?
I'm telling you there's a downside somewhere. I don't know. I am not in the life cycle process because, I don't have the visibility to that. But I promise you, just like we thought fucking switching to coal from whatever was great, we found out later, oh shit, we're fucking up a lot of shit. People probably didn't know at that time what the externalities would be. So I know that there is
jobs. Jobs are getting lost. They're always going to be one of the costs of changing, industries. Like if you change from recycling plastic to not recycling it, people that are in the recycling business, they're going to lose jobs. But if you decide to recycle more, than people that make plastic bottles and cardboard boxes and shit, stuff like that, they're not going to have jobs necessarily. So there's always different ways that it's going to be effective for sure. That's weird thing to think about, though.
In everything, I have never come across I've never come across something that's all good or all bad. Never. And yes,
I'm gonna think of some stuff for next episode. I'm gonna write down all good and all bad stuff.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. And I mean, and I mean, that's not to say that I know when I see something that looks very good in front of me. That's not to say that I always know the negative aspects of it in the moment. It's typically not till later on down the line that when you say, "Oh, this thing that seems so great to me really wasn't." There were some downsides to it, and those the positive surely a lot of the times outweighs the negative, but there's typically always some negative to everything.
I'm trying to think of something right now. It's hard. I'm not coming up with anything off the top of my head. I'm trying to think of like different medicines.
I just don't know, man. I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't either.
I just don't know what is all good or what's all bad, man.
Well, we'll figure that out later.
That's a rabbit hole we can go down.
So I have a way to connect what we're talking about, not necessarily yet, but into the theme of the episode, which we remind everyone is mental health. So, have you seen Us?
The Jordan Peele movie?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
I've seen the trailer and all that, though.
So, we went and saw it last weekend. That's not gonna... Yeah. So, did you hear of the controversy? Did we talk about this with Alex? Maybe we did.
We did not.
Okay. So, Lupita... There we go.
Oh, she's so bad, bro.
Okay. So, the movie, wild. Fucking twist after twist. I mean, I was creeped out. It was funny. It was everything. It was really good. Lupita, is it Wong or is it just Wong? Because I always go with Wong when the NY. I'm just
that's Nyong'o.
When NG
Lupita Nyong'o.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's that. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because I'm going with is Win is that Vietnamese? A ton of people have NGUYE around here. That's Win, right?
And typically in African names, everything will get pronounced.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's in Asian names, there's a lot of letters, and then there's no pronunciation.
Letters. I hate silent letters.
Yeah. That's a lot in Asian
cultures.
Why
are you in that word? What is knife? What the fuck is knife?
Kebab.
What is knife? Knife. Okay, so her doppelganger in the movie, I'm not going to give much away to you.
Okay.
Is named Red, and it's so basically it's almost her twin. Mm-hmm. She has a voice that will cut through your soul.
It's that creepy.
It is. When she first speaks, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So apparently, the voice has drawn outrage from the disabled community because it was perceived as insensitive, because she told Variety that the Red's guttural husky voice was a byproduct of studying a rare speech disorder called spasmodic dysphonia. I was inspired by the condition spasmodic dysphonia, she said at the Us Los Angeles premiere, which is a condition that comes about from trauma, sometimes emotional, sometimes physical. It creates the spasming in your vocal cords that leads to a regular flow of air. Okay, so what's the problem? They're saying she was mocking a disabled. Yeah. The fight stigmas. Let's see. She drew criticism from a number of disabled organizations, including the nonprofit Respectability. So yeah, there's. I thought that was interesting that, we always talk about cancel culture and nobody's safe. Nobody's safe. Even though she said she drew inspiration from it because, people with that, disability or that mental disorder that it makes their vocal cords sound like that. It's because of trauma. It's because of something they went through and that now they speak like that because of it. In the movie, that makes sense because she goes through some trauma. Yeah, so it's odd. It's just it's another way of tying us into the mental health, but also we always talk about this, that people are so sensitive about everything nowadays. Dog. And it's typically people who aren't the actual subjects. Apologized too. That's the number one thing you can't do. She immediately. Sometimes I think it's just people want to get it out of the way. They're just like, I'm sorry, all right, and maybe they'll jump on to the next story now. But they did. But they don't. They don't. It's not a. It's a power play.
It is not that you have genuinely hurt me and I've taken offense to what you have done or said. It's a power play because there's no way you can look and listen to her words and derive that she was trying to actually insult or offend someone. And so if I told you, if I said something to you, if I did the same thing to you and I told you, hey Andrew, I was not mocking you or trying to insult you, for you to then just after that say I'm still hurt and you're an asshole, that would be completely intellectually dishonest of you, and that's what I feel it is.
Well, they didn't do that. They said they accepted her apology.
Did they really?
Yeah, that's it. We appreciate her apology. We're learning on this journey to be sensitive to all marginalized communities, whether it's race, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, disability, religion, or anything else. Nah, okay.
I still don't believe in the apology.
Yeah, all right, but I also don't. That statement, like, you don't necessarily have to be sensitive to everybody's little thing that they have that's different about them. Sensitive, no. Aware of, sure. But you don't have to be. There's no reason you have to dance around it. I mean, I don't know about you, but if you consistently don't, I mean, it's very difficult to talk about or talk to someone about a disability or something that is different about them if they're very sensitive about it.
Of course.
But when things like this come out, it's almost showing like you need to be sensitive about everything that's unique about you.
Exactly.
You don't. You need to appreciate it, but you don't need to be sensitive about it in that way.
Right.
She said she crafted the character with love and care. Like she did her research. Sounds like she did a fucking awesome job of researching this character.
Yeah.
And they're upset about that. But also, I don't like that religion's thrown in there. So you're telling me that your race, which you're born into, your gender, which some would say you're born into, or you're able to switch one or the other. There's only really. Is there only two? Am I backing myself into a corner here?
No.
People are going to freak out on me?
You're only born one of two ways.
No, but are there only two genders?
Yes, there are only two
Genders.
biological genders.
Okay. Sexual orientation, different than gender. Gender identity, different than gender and sexual orientation. Disability. Religion's like, it doesn't belong there
because
in that
it's not
statement.
A choice. I mean, because
what?
it is a choice. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
I misspoke.
Most of the other ones you would say are not a choice. At least that's how most people with those differences, are perceived to be. But religion,
not perceived. It's biologically, those people do not get to choose any of that. None of that is chosen. The only thing that's chosen. I'm not
saying it's chosen. I'm just saying that that's not necessarily everyone's opinion.
True.
On
okay.
Those
I see what you're saying.
Like some people think, you choose whether you're gay. You choose to be a man or a woman. You choose your gender identity. You definitely don't choose disability. Well, no, you can choose a disability as well. Hey, mental health episode. Here we go. Some people, I mean, you could say you have something when you don't. You're that, and that in itself is some sort of disability. If you're going to those lengths to say you have some cancer when you don't.
Yes.
I mean, there's been people all over the place that have run those schemes to say, oh, I have this disability, donate money to me. Those people have some sort of issue that's not the actual disability they claim.
But as you said, though, in order to fake a disability, you have to go to. It's in the same, because you can fake race too. We've seen Rachel Dolezal, right?
Jesus Christ,
but you have to go through very great lengths in order to disguise those type of things.
Very hard to do.
Yes.
Why?
Like if I was able to, do you know what? If I wanted to disguise myself as white, do you know what it would take?
Well, I'll tell you that I believe you and Sammy Sosa used to be of similar complexions.
We were.
And he's
white now.
He has done some things.
He did it.
You could ask him. It's very bleachy and splotchy, but you could get it. It could happen. You never know.
Michael did it. A lot of people have done it, man.
He may have. I don't know. I was listening to one of the podcasts the other day from Rogan. They were talking about how Michael Jackson's dad may have given him something in order to stunt his testosterone and therefore stunt his growth as a man. And
so that way his voice would stay the same. That makes
sense.
Like,
whoa.
That makes sense.
Never heard that one. That's wild. But
that actually makes a lot of sense.
That would fuck with your brain too.
Yeah.
It would mess with a lot of shit. But that would also say none of those kids are his. Like he's definitely never slept with a woman. He's not, really probably interested in women. Yeah, it's interesting. When we talk about mental health, but I know you put together quite a few notes here. So if you want, you go ahead and introduce the topic.
So we're talking about mental health, obviously, and so I figured it'd be kind of good to start off with some broad baseline definitions of. So what is good mental health? I think that's a good place to start, right? So good mental health is defined as being generally able to think, feel, and react in the ways that you need and want to live your life. But if you go through a period of poor mental health, you might find the ways you're frequently thinking, feeling, or reacting become difficult or even impossible to cope with. This can feel just as bad as a physical illness or even worse. So I guess to summarize that, that's saying good mental health is when your brain is not acting against you.
Mm-hmm. I could agree there.
You know what I mean? When you want your brain to do a thing and it thinks in the way you want it to think.
Yeah, because fortunately and unfortunately, our brains are extremely complex, and we definitely don't understand them.
Yes.
To even a maybe 50% degree within our society. So it's, when good mental health could be defined as you have a control of your faculties on a daily basis, or
your thoughts, your
at least
emotions,
on an hourly basis.
Yeah, and I would say I think it's your brain is good mental health is your ability to control your thoughts. Because people say your emotions and all, but emotions and all of that stem from thoughts. Yeah, it's just being able to control your thoughts.
Well, and I think what kind of to get in deeper to what thoughts are, but almost actions and events that haven't happened yet or have happened already, and your thoughts about how those could have gone or how they will go, those are frivolous thoughts most of the time.
They're unnecessary.
Yes, and I would say those are what you kind of mean by thoughts. Yes. You're wasting your time, you're wasting your brain power on things that only really will make you stressed out and upset. Yeah. So
we've all gone through that, and I think another thing that is very important to note right now is that because because you felt anxious, because you felt depressed, because you felt a little psychotic at one point, does not necessarily mean that you had a mental health disorder. Because even normal people go through periods of time where they feel anxious, where they feel depressed, and I think what the things get conflated. Like sadness gets conflated as depression. Being temporarily anxious gets conflated as anxiety, when those are conditions. So it's okay to feel sad, to feel really sad, and to feel anxious and all of those things. But so don't necessarily think that because you have felt that way that you have a mental health issue.
But there's, when they happen for extended amounts of time, or they happen based on triggers, things that you can't necessarily help, and that set you off in one way, if it's anxious, anger, sad, depressed, suicidal, whatever it happens to be. It's kind of like the thing we talked about before with health, or really everything in moderation. Even with social media, everything in moderation. In terms of, if you have these types of thoughts in moderation, sad, happy, upset, depressed, whatever, everybody has that. But if they're for prolonged amounts of time, that's when it becomes a mental health problem. And it's not, there's such a stigmatism behind mental health issues, mental health problems. Anything around mental health just seems very sensitive. It's something that people are touchy and tiptoe around. It's not something that seems to be talked about openly.
We can scroll down and get into the three main stigmas if you want.
Sure.
Yeah, that's since you were already talking about it, I figure we might as well just talk about this, like we just skip ahead real quick and just discuss the stigmas. Okay. And then we can come back and go.
Is there the types of health conditions is what you're talking about?
No.
Oh,
go back a little bit, down a little further. Stigmas. Okay. So these are the most. There was a study done by the APA, the American Psychological Association. I believe that's it. If I'm saying it wrong, my apologies. But it's the leading academic researcher in this field, right? And so they went and they found like based off of surveys, the most the top 3 or 4 most common stigmas associated with mental health. Okay. And obviously the first and foremost is that the most common mental health problems have no significant link to violent behavior. That is based off of the fact that is fear and exclusion. People believe that persons with severe mental illness should be feared and therefore be kept out of most communities. That's the number one thing that comes up for mental health.
Yeah, it's weird because that's how I perceive it. Even when I've gone to therapy. Like that's how I perceive it, as like fuck, like I can't tell anybody about this
because they're gonna think I'm dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. But it's so much more common to have a mental health issue, I think, than to not. If you don't, or if you claim you don't, or if you're able to put up a complete front and never have any issues with anything,
for you, bro.
You may be Ted Bundy. You may be some type of psychotic killer. Like you may be, if things don't affect you, like if rational emotions don't come into play, that is
a serious issue.
It is. Like if you have if you're desensitized to things to that level.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that most people have that. So it's odd that that's the norm in society, is to say, oh, these people are, oh shit, don't get near that guy. I heard he might have problems.
Yeah, because
he sees a therapist.
And I think that's because when people think about mental health issues, they think of schizophrenia and psychosis first. Instead of thinking about anxiety, about depression and PTSD, the main things that pop, somebody's schizophrenic and they're psychotic and they're gonna fucking not know I'm me and be a different version of themselves and stab somebody. When, dude, that's not really the case. Most people with suffering, even from people suffering from the deadliest forms of mental illness, are not violent.
Yeah, and this is another one. I mean, it goes along with it, but the weak character, you're responsible for your illness because you have weak character. Like you're a pussy. You have weak character. You're a bitch.
Just go get some mental toughness.
Yo, think differently. Fuck. Stop being sad, motherfucker. Shit. Smile. God damn. This shit is like, it's funny that, God, it's so weird that we have that.
It's so funny because it's so true, dude.
Yeah. Well, that's mostly guys, but Bill Burr.
Of course, bro.
Oh, you want a fucking cookie? Yeah?
You pussy.
You want a fucking cookie, you pussy?
No, you don't ask if I want. Yeah. I ask you if I want the cookie. Goddamn.
Oh, you got a salad? Fucking salad for lunch?
Why? It's raining.
You gotta go take your tampon out.
It's raining and you got an umbrella. Put your shoulders up, you fucking fairy.
Put your shoulders up. Cover your head with your shoulders,
dude. I'm trying to tell you.
Fuck.
Bill Burr's that
That's
guy,
so funny, dude. I swear, anytime I go out with friends, there's always that friend that just refuses to wear a coat. I know Bill Burr talked about that, but I literally have those friends. Like, you go out and they're just like, you standing in line for the bar.
Yeah. Like, well, hi,
freezing.
Son.
It's like,
you too
I got my coat.
coat.
I'm gonna have to hold it when I get in, but whatever.
I don't give a fuck,
and
bro.
like, I'm not gonna hold shit. 2 drinks.
I'd rather be warm and hold my coat than be outside freezing my motherfucking ass off, bro.
Agreed.
Fuck that noise, bro. But yeah, I've always found it ironic how there's that stigma about just, think differently, as if I don't know that thinking differently would alleviate this. Motherfucker, of course I know that. If it was that simple, I'd do it.
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with you? You know what I mean?
2 of these stigmas I don't understand, so you might have to explain them to me. Okay. They have childlike perceptions of the world that should be marveled.
Yeah, so that's a stigma as well, that people actually...
I mean, I get the childlike perception, but why does it say that should be marveled? Should their childlike perceptions be marveled?
That's what they're referring to. They're saying, oh, like ignorance is bliss type thing. That they have this childlike perception of the world and that people envy it.
Oh.
That, I wish I thought that simply of the world and didn't have to deal with thinking about bills and thinking about...
Like they're simple as fuck.
Yes.
Gotcha. I didn't get that. I was like... Man, I think about child shit. I'm a big kid. That's all. I mean, I marvel at the world. How's that bad? I was like, what is this about? Then the last one, authoritarianism. Persons with severe... that's a fucking word right there, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I'm almost...
Persons with severe mental illness are irresponsible, so life decisions should be made by others. That one I hate because... I mean, you can gain help from other people, but they don't have time to live your life. They got their life. You literally only have really enough time in your day. No, you do. You can only live your life. There's only, no one lives 2 lives. Yeah. And if you do, you got a double family. I mean, that's crazy. I don't know how you're doing that. That's wild.
Yeah.
You must have 48-hour days. Shit is crazy,
dude. I don't know how the people do it, but no, that is. I think that's when you see a lot too. That it's you have a mental health issue. I have to baby you now. You cannot make your own decisions.
I don't feel like you
can't
see that from
faculty.
a lot of therapists, but you see that from family members quite a bit.
Oh, Fuck yeah,
Because
dude.
therapists, I think more so, they have too many patients. They want to say you need to be independent. Like you need to learn to fix this on your own with help, but not the type where it's like a micromanager, a helicopter parent, like that type of shit. But parents can't help that shit sometimes. So
and a lot of the time when it comes to family, it's coming from a good place. It just so happens that it becomes very overwhelming of somebody trying to take all your faculty out of your hands and saying, "Oh, because
they have too much skin in the game too,"
and that as well. They don't want to see. They don't want to see you die. They don't want to see you go. They don't want to see you suffer.
Well, that's why a therapist of some kind, psychologist, psychiatrist, they're the
best, man.
Well, they have that outside view. It's an unbiased perspective. That's like, okay, well, tell me what's happening, and then I'll give you my analysis of the situation based on the facts you gave me. So it's like, if you lie,
that's on you, man.
Well, then their analysis is going to, lean into that lie. Yeah. But if you want to know the truth, you tell the truth, and you're upfront. They can analyze it for you if they're good enough, and tell you, what it actually means, or how to fix it, or at least give you some type of suggestion based on the schooling that they had. So,
dude, only a psychopath goes to a therapist and lies, bro.
Yeah,
only a fucking psychopath does that. Why the fuck? This person,
a lot of your family, a lot of your job, a lot of your friends, but not a lot of your
therapist. Come on, what the fuck is
patient, doctor, confidant. Is that a thing? I don't know.
It is. I'm pretty sure they're being.
They always ask in the movies, and I didn't.
Isn't it true that if unless you're going to harm yourself or others, everything else you cannot. They can't tell.
I heard it in a movie, so it must be.
Yeah, I think it's real, or I just lied to the folks.
I gotta take this.
All right, cool.
You can go through the types if you want.
Yeah. Okay. So cool. I will take this solo dolo for a minute. So we're gonna go through types of mental health conditions. So these are quite broad. You can get into each of these. Each of these have subsets, but we're gonna stick to the broad version of them and not try to get into the weeds too much. So depression, it's pretty obvious. I think most people know what that is. Anxiety. Then there are phobias. People have various phobias. The most common ones are things like spiders and snakes and shit like that. But then some people have phobias of like door handles, and they can't leave their house. So it can get pretty overwhelming and take over your life. Then there's eating problems like bulimia and anorexia. I actually saw a documentary on Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel of this. Apparently, a lot of high school and college athletics are having issues with eating disorders because to everybody who's played a high school sport, you're trying to cut weight, make weight, be in the perfect shape and condition in order to play this sport. And a lot of kids have now figured out a hack, and that's to eat and then throw up, not eat at all. So a lot of these younger kids not a lot, but there's a growing number of kids in high school and college who are developing eating disorders because of the sports that they're playing and trying to excel at them. So it's really scary. And this young kid, man, when you see the picture of him before he died, you could see almost every bone in his body. You could damn near see his organs. It was one of the scariest sights I've ever seen, and I feel so sorry for him and his family. And then another is schizophrenia. There's obsessive compulsive disorder, bipolar, personality disorders, gender dysphoria. Ooh, that's a big one. So like transgenderism, it's a touchy topic. People don't want to get into, but gender dysphoria is a thing. And then there's post-traumatic stress disorder. And obviously the most common instances of this that we see are men and women who get back from war. It's hard to cope after being in an environment where you're getting shot at and being wired for 24 hours a day. I couldn't even imagine it. When you're in a car and you're driving down the road and then all of a sudden you're about to get in an accident, and that fear and anxiety that grips you for that moment. Imagine being in Afghanistan and feeling like that 24 hours a day for an entire year. That is insanity. I was talking about post-traumatic stress disorder. Yeah.
That shit's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. Oh, I wanted to also mention one thing, because you said most people go through something with mental health, and that's true. So Mental health problems affect around 1 in 4 people in any given year. They range from common problems such as depression and anxiety to rare problems such as schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. So, 1 in 4, 25%. That's a pretty huge number.
Yeah,
that's a lot of people.
Yeah, it makes it, even weirder. Like we said, that there's the stigmatism involved with it, surrounding it.
Mm-hmm.
It's
probably
odd.
more than that. I mean, I'm not a statistician, but because there's such a stigma around it, I'm just jumping out on the ledge there that I think that there are more people. Because for me, I remember when I was younger, before I dealt with my anxiety and depression, before that shit hit me, I used to think people who went through that shit were legit bitches.
Same here, man. Same fucking here.
I was like, y'all some motherfucking pussies, bro.
Yeah, be mentally tough. Step your shit up.
Like, come on, life is hard. Get through it. And then that shit hit me. I was like, oh, this thing inside of your skull. Oh, that shit can do its own thing sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I had no idea, because when you go to a doctor and they do that thing where they hit you on the knee and then your knee does something you're not wanting it to do.
It's so weird. I don't like that.
So I hate that shit. But that's kind of
what
your brain does.
I do it to myself sometimes. You can just tap your knee
and it just
hold up. Let me get it. I know it's in there somewhere. Yep, that's it. It's weird.
So weird.
It's so weird.
And you see what I'm saying? How outside forces, and even sometimes not even outside forces, internal forces, can then make your mind do things that you don't truly intend
for sure. Yeah, I mean, we have so many chemicals up there that we don't even know are flying around just doing whatever they want. And I mean, some of us probably have fucking parasites. I mean, you didn't. There's 2 up there you didn't mention.
What's that?
That, I mean, I wasn't in here for it, but I assume you didn't mention because they're not on the list.
Oh no, yeah. If it's not on the list, I didn't mention it.
So parasites being one, causing some type of mental disorder in terms of. Was it toxoplasmosis, the crazy cat lady disease?
Yep.
And there's other ones as well. But speaking of which, have you seen the video of the thing coming out of the grasshopper, the parasite?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. That shit is so cool.
I've seen the ones that coming out of ants, butterflies. Yeah.
Luckily, those don't necessarily affect humans as much as ants and stuff. But you got to think that some of these crazy people, they got a worm in their brain. They got a worm in their fucking stomach.
There's a pig parasite that eats your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, there's a crazy movie I'll tell you about later that not on the podcast, but about that, a pig parasite. It's weird.
Yeah.
And then the other one is, which a lot of people now think of as mental disorders, are addictions, drug addictions. As we talked about, porn addictions, video game addictions. Fucking, I mean, what are the? There's got to be other ones.
I mean, there's
addictions to everything.
Anything.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen
Cell
that show,
phone?
My Strange Addiction? Where the lady's like, I'm eating the couch cushions. I can't fucking stop dipping them in ranch. What the fuck is going on, dude? I'm not kidding. Did you see that one? You know what I'm talking about?
Hey, yo, weak as shit, bro. Hey, nah, I ain't see that shit.
Dude, she's all right. So a couch cushion, like.
Said I'm dipping them.
All right, look. You know how they have, like, you unzip a couch cushion or whatever, and there's whatever the orange or yellow foam in it, or white foam or whatever, and she just fucking rips that shit off and eats it. I'm not kidding. Like, she sits there on her couch and eats her couch while watching TV. Netflix and chill while eating her couch.
Oh, god damn, dude.
No, yeah, I think it's on that show, that channel TLC. It's called My Strange Addiction.
Yeah, no,
I've
seen it. I've seen the lady that eats chalk. I've seen that one.
All right, think how crazy it is that these addictions, which are, like I said, to some people, they are mental health disorders.
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously, they can run in your genes. You can be an alcoholic genetically, you can be predisposed to being an alcoholic because your parents were, or your grandparents were.
Yeah.
But we have so many shows around these addictions and, just making them bigger than they should be almost. Like, what's that? God, the one on Vice. I used to hate watching it. Intervention.
Oh, fuck,
Good
man.
God, that shit is so hard to watch.
It's so sad and so awkward and so, like, skin.
Because most people are, but think about it, in an addiction, most people, or, in that show, a lot of the people don't want help. They don't think they have a problem. That's a lot with mental disorders. You try to convince yourself, like, I'm normal. I don't have a problem. You are normal, but a lot of people have problems, and getting diagnosed is important if you think you have something wrong with you. So But I find it's also a lot in terms of these diseases. Some of them can be genetic, some of them can be caused by various things, but a lot of it has to do with how you live your life. If you live a healthy life, if you try to live a stress-free life, but it all depends on the conditions, what you have available to you in that time. So
of course,
it's kind of based on your position in life too.
Yeah, and I think if we decrease the stigma around mental health, more people would more likely go and see a professional before things got out of hand. So if we could
For sure.
if we could say that, hey, most people go through sadness, most people go through bouts of depression and anxiety and whatever, that's okay. But if we can make sure that you will not be shunned and socially isolated for admitting to that, then more people would say, hey guys, I think I'm having anxiety right now. Oh, hey, I got a doctor down the street that could help you. So before the anxiety gets to a point where it's paralyzing you, you're already taking the steps necessary to prevent that from happening. Or with depression, before the depression has you in a place where you can't leave your house for months at a time, you're already seeing a mental health professional who is addressing those issues, and you're making your friends and your family aware of it so they can help pull you out before you get in too deep. And also with mental health, one thing I wanted to mention, one of the things that we don't talk about that has the greatest long-term impact on your mental health is who you decide to get in a relationship with.
Yeah, it definitely can. I mean, it's
in life, that is going to be the greatest predictor of your mental health.
Yeah, I think we talked about a little bit on the relationship episode way back on the Valentine's Day special, but it's
be careful who decide to fuck.
For sure, yeah, it can. A lot of things can factor into how your life goes. And that's a big one. If you choose someone for reasons,
50 years into
reasons other than that your personalities are good together, and you both feel the same way about one another. But if you get into a relationship for other reasons that are let's say fleeting, that won't be around for forever, though, that's really going to take a toll on your mental health for sure. And I think both of us have probably been in relationships like that previously, as have I'm sure a lot of listeners out there, or who knows if any of our exes are listening, they're like, yep, right back at you.
So that's when motherfuckers say when they're in a relationship, like, yo, you drove me crazy. That I don't think that is an exaggeration or a play on words. I think that is legitimately, bruh,
your brain can change.
Yes. Absolutely. So
for sure.
If that's why you can't, again, as you said, when you're picking a future mate, and if the assumption is you're going to be married to this person 25 years plus, it is going to be the single greatest thing that will impact your mental health. So be very careful when you're doing it. Simply. So, yeah.
So I see you have gender dysphoria listed on here.
Yeah.
Is that listed as a mental health condition?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yep.
That's I know, probably a controversial thing for people that have gender dysphoria.
Yeah. So this is the way I like to see it. This is why I think being transgender is a mental health issue. If I had a Chevy in the driveway, if I had a Chevy Cobalt in the driveway, and I told you that is a Ferrari, and I swore to you that car right there is a Ferrari, you'd say I'd have the mental. You would say that there's something wrong with me. If I did that consistently over a long period of time, you would say that there is something wrong with you that is making you think that a Chevy Cobalt is a Ferrari. Or
I would have to disagree for so many reasons.
No,
one, you can't compare cars to a person in that way, but also because if we are doing that, the Chevy Cobalt, the outside of it would be the shell. The person, you could obviously tell that person, if they say they're something different than what you can obviously tell, then you're like, okay, that's maybe odd to you. But in the car situation, you can obviously open up the hood and see that it's not a Ferrari. But in this situation, you can't open up the brain and see that what's going on there. That's, as we said, it's so complex.
Men and women's brains are different. I mean, when you're born a man, you're born a man. When you're born a woman, you're born a woman.
What I'm saying is you can't...
If you think you're one of the other, that is a mental health issue.
But I'm saying you can't go in and say that which way someone's feeling. I'm not saying it's not, gender dysphoria. Obviously, it's listed as a mental health issue or a mental health condition. I'm not saying it's not, but what you're saying is that you see it in that way, like, that's why it's a mental health condition, because you can clearly see how that person looks, and that's why you're, judging them having a mental health condition, because they obviously don't look how they feel. But what I'm saying is it's way more complex than that, because it's on the inside of their brain. And as we said, we can't, you can't dig that deep. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Hopefully the podcast is over. Right?
All right, good.
Shit.
Uh-oh.
It's good.
Okay. So no, you're right. But I mean, take for example, there are people who believe that they're amputees, right? People will have their arm. Their arm is there, but they believe that
Jesus.
they only have one arm. And people have gone through great lengths where that arm there seems, because they have a mental health condition where it seems like that is somebody else's arm. They have chopped off their own hands because of that condition. But when we see that, we say, oh, that's a mental disorder. But then when somebody wants to chop off their genitals that they're born with, we all of a sudden say that gender is a social construct, when it's not, right? And I just want to point that out, that I'm not trying to say that being transgender is right or wrong. I'm just trying to say that it is a mental health issue, which is why it's even up there in the first place. And I know it's a touchy subject.
Yeah,
but,
no, I mean, I'm more than happy to discuss it. It's up there as a mental health condition, but, I don't think that. I think that the changes that the transgender people go through are to, we haven't talked about. Is that how you spell susceptible, by the way?
Oh wait, susceptible. Yeah.
Oh shit, I got that right.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay.
Hold on.
Treatments. That's what I was gonna talk about. So we haven't talked about the treatments yet, but in terms of gender dysphoria, I guess the physical changes that people go through. What?
You were so wrong.
Oh, okay. You just said it was right.
I think
you said yep. I was like, fuck it.
Oh, because I spelled it wrong too. It's SUSCEPTIBLE. We're not going to say how you spell it.
Okay.
Continue your statement, though.
So with gender dysphoria, I think that the physical changes they go through, that is, that they want to go through, that they go through sex changes or what have you, even if it's full or part, that's a type of treatment for them. That is how they get over the gender dysphoria. But
my thing is this, is that the statistics do not hold that the treatment works, because the suicide rate for people pre-operation and post-operation is the exact same.
So what is the cure? What is the
I don't know
right way to go about it?
I don't know,
because the word dysphoria, I really wasn't sure what it meant until I just looked it up actually. But a state of unease or generalized dissatisfaction with life. So it's really just, gender dysphoria means, you're not happy as this gender. You don't feel comfortable as this gender. You don't feel like this is your natural gender. You were born to the wrong gender. Transforming into that gender, you would think, at least, would be and maybe that's why.
I wish it would
maybe that's
make it better.
And as you said, the statistics show that there's a lot of suicides still, but there's a lot of suicides in general, man. People are just unhappy, and if that's the way that someone wants to treat it, that seems to me, at least, I have no idea. I'm not going through that, but it seems that would be the right way to go about it.
If I felt that I should be white, it just makes sense that I should do whatever it takes, that I should make my skin white. Or if I felt that I should be, whatever it may be, whatever methods that I could take in order to be that thing, it would only make sense that if it would get me closer to being that thing, that I would be happier. But then with that, you should expect happiness to increase. but you don't necessarily see such with gender dysphoria, which is the disheartening thing. Because I'm sitting here saying, I wish that when people were going through gender dysphoria, or if a man felt like he was a woman or a woman felt like she was a man, and all they had to do was chop off some shit and then be that and everything would be fine, I wish that was the case. But no matter how much stuff you cut off, no matter how much testosterone and estrogen you put in your body, you can't change your DNA. And it's unfortunate. And it's like,
well, that it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to be happy because they can't change their DNA.
no, some people are happy. Absolutely, some people are happy, but it's not.
Shit, that tech may be on the way. Who knows?
Right, but it should. If that made everything better, then everyone who made that transition should just be happy, or at least most. But it's not even most.
You know, it's a crazy thought. Think about, when a sperm is fertilizing an egg.
Yeah.
And I don't know what fucking stage I'm going to reference here, but some stage in there is where the embryo decides to be a male or female.
Okay.
Within that soup, what part is the brain and what part is the chromosomes at that time when it's just very microscopic? In order to, I'm saying, how close is it a lot of the time to, especially with how common it seems now, how close is it to where, it could go either way up to that point? And it's like, oh, well, the brain developed in the way it was about to go and the body developed in the other way. I'm just saying, and try to think it outside the box, but it's just, we can't. I mean, obviously we can see down to that level, but at the same time, I don't know how that works. So
since I got my PhD, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
I'm going to answer that for you flawlessly.
Okay, thanks.
No, I have no fucking idea.
Is this going to come from 8th grade family life or health or whatever that disgusting fucking video was we had to watch?
Dude, I have no idea. And that's actually as you were saying it, I was like, I mean, hey, that's a very good. I never thought about it that way before. I mean, who knows what's going on? I also believe that people do, when they are born, they do feel that they are something else. I'm also not saying that they do not truly feel that way.
Yeah.
I am giving them that.
Yeah.
And who knows why that fucking happens.
But, well, let's get into that. The causes of, and the causes are, it's always really, with a lot of mental health, I feel like, well, some of it, as we said, it can be genetic. Like, you might get passed down. But a lot of it is just, it's kind of guesswork. It's just like a mechanic or any other type of doctor. It's a lot of guesswork. You're like, let me see how this works. Let's see if this does it. Let's see. Oh,
rolling dice. Bro.
Oh no. Oh,
dude, do you know that's why they did the twin study? A lot of the twin studies are because, you saw 3 Identical Strangers. A lot of the twin studies are because they're trying to figure out what are the biological separating factors that makes people go in these different ways. Yes.
It's like a little bit of both, probably.
And it's fucked up, but those twin studies are the closest you can get because these are 2 people born with identical DNA. And then here's another question. 2 people born with identical DNA, why does one turn transgender and the other one does not? If you're born that way and those 2 people have the same DNA,
but does your DNA affect how your brain works at a later time in life, like your base DNA when you're born?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, because brains are like, I feel like, so everything else is kind of separate, and then your brain's just up here.
It's just this thing.
It's like you're almost like a little car.
A robot.
Yeah, robot car. And it's what's that fucking song by Lupe?
Kick Push?
No, Daydreaming.
Oh, Daydreaming.
Yeah, all he talks about, he describes his robot the whole time.
Yes.
And that's how I think about it, is like your brain is just kind of like the driver of your body, but it's kind of separate from everything. It's weird.
It feels like
nobody
that,
knows it. It's God damn it.
Yeah. Dude, by the way,
mysterious.
Shout out Lupe.
Nobody knows, really what's going on up there. But fuck it. We'll
figure it out.
We'll go along for the ride. But the body, like, we can figure all that out. Like, we're like examining.
I want to get stronger. Just lift this muscle.
Oh, well, it also, you can break your arm open. You're good. You can break that brain open and be good.
True.
You break your brain open, you
That's
are
pretty much a wrap.
Vegetable.
That's a pretty much a wrap, guys.
Sorry if that's insensitive. Vegetable.
No, it's a.
So you have some causes listed here, and I like to always, nature versus nurture. That's kind of how everything boils down to.
Yep.
You have childhood abuse, trauma, neglect. I'm sure a lot of it's from childhood abuse.
Goodness,
because
yes.
it can set in and just stick forever, and then not come out for a long time.
Dude, and this is just my personal experience. I'm not saying this as a whole.
Okay.
I, in my life,
Mm-hmm.
have seen that kids who had a decent childhood where both parents were in the home and stayed together throughout, where they weren't sexually abused, where their parents paid attention to them and took care of them, I haven't seen one of them have a mental health issue. Legit. The only people I've seen have mental issues, like myself, parents were fucked up, got abused as kids, and did all kinds of, and ended up in fucked up situations. And all of me included, and all of my friends who went through that shit, all got mental health issues.
Yeah.
So I mean, to me, it's just like, oh, when he says that's a cause, I'm like, duh, because the people I see now, do kids raised in a perfect environment under perfect circumstances still develop mental health issues? Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
But from what I've seen, I just don't see them going through the same amount of shit that I see everybody else going through, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it all depends on how you grow up, for sure. I mean, it paves the way for the rest of your life. Yeah. Social isolation and loneliness, I would say, is probably a huge one as well. People that don't interact with humans a lot aren't good at it, and they tend to have more issues surrounding how those interactions will go.
Correct.
You know, basically playing those out in their mind when they're not having them.
Yeah.
You need human interaction. It is just like water. It is just like air, just like food. Yeah, you need food.
Yeah. And I mean, it's the same thing.
It's a burden to eat.
And it has that negative what's the word?
Connotation.
Not there's that self-fulfilling prophecy it has where if you're bad at communicating, you think about it too much, you communicate worse, which makes people not want to talk to you even more, and then it makes you, and then it's just this negative cycle that builds upon itself. You know what I mean? So it's a social isolation.
It's a snowball.
Yeah,
it keeps fucking building,
just like a motherfucking avalanche.
Experiencing discrimination and stigma. Yes, I mean, I bet there's so many. This just popped into my head, but black people from the 60s that probably have PTSD from marching or just any everyday interactions, you know, before. Well, I mean, it wasn't just then, but, you know, I'm just thinking about the older folks that are now, you know, still alive in our society that probably have still some form of PTSD based on that.
Got dogs sicked on them, fire hoses. I would 100% have PTSD.
Also, remember why PTSD becomes a thing as well is because other generations and people at home can't relate to you. Yep. So, I mean, well, there's not necessarily fire hoses, but it's a different racism now, I would say. But I don't know if they can relate to people because that was some intense shit. That was some.
It was pretty deep, and
the hose videos are insane.
Those hoses are no fucking joke, bro.
Am I blinking or are the lights flickering?
The lights are flickering.
Damn, what's going on outside?
I thought it was it's just the TV flickering. It's not the lamps.
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
Yeah, but no, you know, and I also think about. So I told you why I got off social media, seeing black men get gunned down.
Yeah.
It was fucking up my mental health, and I think it's fucking up the mental health of a lot of young black men and women out there.
It desensitizes people for sure.
Yeah, and I just think it's traumatizing to see somebody get killed like that. I really do think it's traumatizing. And also I think the fact that a lot of young black men and women are convinced that they're victims and that because that they're black, they're always going to be held back. They're never going to do good enough. They never can be good enough. I think that has a significant impact on their mental health.
Oh yeah,
they just never feel like even when there's nothing in their way, they're like, I'm told I'm black and I can't do shit. So how can I, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, social media and the regular media reinforce a lot of that.
Yes.
So it's hard to, unless you get away from that, it's hard to get away from it, period. You know, whatever reinforcement you want, you can get.
You'll get it quickly.
Yeah, it's really like choose your reinforcement. Choose your negative reinforcement. Choose your positive. Whatever you want to see, you can. Mm-hmm. Like, you choose really how your social media affects you, whether you use it or, you know, whether you use it responsibly or whether you just don't use it at all or use it irresponsibly. You know, if you want to follow people that are putting out good messages and things and not showing police shootings and not showing things that are negative,
you can.
Yeah, but I don't think that's necessarily the popular thing all the time.
How many?
Also, news is negative. News is not positive, really. Right. You don't really. No one cares if it's positive.
Right.
Unless it's extremely positive.
Yeah. Right.
Like if you save someone from a super negative event.
Yes. Then then that makes the fucking headlines.
There you go.
Right. And it makes, when the news is that negative, when everything you're seeing on social media is that negative, it gives you this perception that life in and of itself is that negative. Man, dude, I was riding my bike today. It was a beautiful day. Weather was beautiful. I saw Wes actually as I was turning into your neighborhood. He yelled at me. He was just driving. Yeah, he yelled at me. I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna text you. I'm gonna hit you up." And like, that was a great thing. Like, I saw a friend of mine I haven't seen in a while. That's how life is most of the time. But if you spend your time wrapped up in social media and in the media in and of itself, you would think that life is this fucking hectic.
It's hard though, man. It's hard because you want to stay informed.
True.
And it's I remember just, all right, so trying to find sources in college for papers for research projects was difficult. Right. You know, you had to read books. You had to read fucking books with paper
the way you
and
said
shit.
It was like, people wouldn't understand it.
There's a fucking thing. There was this building. They locked all them fucking books up. It was called a library.
That's funny, dude.
And then sometimes you stole the books because you didn't feel like checking them out. Sometimes
all
you
5 cents worth of them.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's nuts that back then it seemed you could trust things, and I mean that's only 10 years ago, really.
Yeah.
But it seems like now even the trusted news sources just want to be first. It could be a trustworthy source, but at the same time, is it really worth your time reading? You're going to have to comb through to get to the real story you want. It really all depends. I mean, on where you get your news and what you decide to do with your social media because news now is social media. Yeah. You know, it really. I've probably showed you. I have the Google News app on my phone. Yeah, it's just it's a social media for news. That's it. That's it. It gathers all the news sources.
Dopamine hits.
It's basically like all my friends are news sources now.
Yep. Yeah, dude. And I had a conversation with my mom Thursday, and I said I was like, hey, because she's very involved in this Trump thing, and it's actually giving her a lot of anxiety, and I don't like to see my mom going through that. And I'm like, Mom,
mom is too.
Yeah, I'm like, take a week off, and if something in your life truly changes, if something truly changes,
has social media.
Unfortunately, I think she has Facebook. Yeah, and she has WhatsApp.
That's how that generation works. I don't know, man.
Shit.
What? Oh,
Facebook and WhatsApp.
Well, WhatsApp. Yeah, Facebook.
Fuck. Old people and Facebook and WhatsApp are like no.
Well,
no, there should be a ban.
I have WhatsApp just because it's an easy way to send. Basically files, like you can send a picture. You can basically it uses Wi-Fi instead of it can use Wi-Fi.
It's a very effective way of communicating.
The bad thing is Facebook owns it now. That makes me not want to use it. But so I have basically like my fantasy football messaging is on there. And that's what it's
just much easier. It's seamless. I'm not saying that these things are monsters.
No, but the older generation tends to be on Facebook, and that's where they're having their debates. But I mean, you remember being on there. That's what it was about, because it's more. It really is more of a forum than anything else. It's not your Instagram where that's about pictures. It's not Twitter where it's about, it used to be about quick, hits of, live events or something here and there. Facebook it's your old school. Remember AOL? You could find a forum about anything, and that it was just an argue place, and that's what that is. And I mean, that's kind of what this is.
Yeah, but we try to be a lot more nuanced.
Yeah, we try to figure this shit out. That's detectives.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. That's
detectives.
That's missing. Our show should have been called Nuance, because that's what's missing in everything. It's just nuance. It's either you're left or you're right. It's either you're black or you're white. It's you're this or you're that. No, you are many fucking things, and you're extremely complicated. I'm sure, hey, I'm taking a leap here, that you can go and talk, a black person, you can go talk to a KKK member, and you will find out that he's a family man. You'll find out that he just wants to provide for his kids and make sure they have a future. He gives back to his community. He goes to church. Yeah, he hates black people, but there's still, I guarantee you will find redeeming qualities. Just like if he tried, he would find redeeming qualities in you. That's what we're looking for, is nuance. And I was telling my mother, like, going back to the mental health thing, like, I could see my mom like mentally like going through it with this shit. And I'm like, yo, Mom, my job, I work so much and I'm on the computer, but I don't get I don't have enough time to like read articles as much as I want to and stay up to date with things. I mean, you have to
don't
update
either.
me on a lot of shit.
Dude, I don't have the time either anymore.
When
we left the old place, that's what we did a lot. Now
that's all I did. Right now, I can't do it.
Not gonna work.
And I tell her, I'm like, Mom, you know what? I'll go and it's an entire week without reading a news story, and I'm telling you, my life does not change. Nothing so egregious happens that I need to know about it. Even Nipsey Hussle's death killed me. It absolutely floored me.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I didn't need to know it.
You know, it's weird. I felt a feeling of not that I needed, like that, not that it affected me, but when I pulled it up, I had the feeling of, oh, I'm late to this news. Like, I was like, oh shit, I would have known this way earlier back in the day.
Yeah.
I was just, not like I
would have known it instantly.
Yeah, not that I care, but I was just thinking to myself when I saw it, I was like, damn, I went the whole day without knowing this.
Yep.
That's weird.
My brother, the reason I found out was my brother texted me in a group chat and he was like, y'all know Nipsey died. Then I had to go on my own and be like, damn, Nipsey died. And then here's the thing. This is why I also tell my mom you don't need social media. If something that fucking crazy happens, somebody's going to text you immediately. If something happens like Trump declares war on North Korea, you will have, I think your phone would push you an alert even against your own will, bro. You know, like you don't need to be wrapped up in the 24-hour news cycle.
Well, that's something that getting away from it does. It makes you communicate more with the people that you didn't communicate with as much because they saw your updates.
Right.
You know,
weird thing.
Yeah.
Just communicating with people, huh? Such a weird concept.
Yeah, as we said, social isolation and loneliness is that can be a cause of mental illness. Is social media on this list? Because if it's not, that's social disadvantage.
I thought about because
we'll add it as a little star.
Yeah, as a caveat. Yep.
Social media, of course, because we talk about how bad it is all the time,
endlessly.
Yeah. Social disadvantage and poverty or debt. Yeah, I mean, dude, for the years of my life until I actually had some success in sales, I thought about money every fucking minute of the day.
Every day.
And I still think about it quite a bit.
Yep.
Just with everybody does, but it's one of the main sources of stress for a lot of folks, and it can creep in so much so that it causes some type of mental illness.
Do you know that poverty and debt and the constant worrying about money and where you're going to be able to survive and feed yourself, do you know that those worries, poverty and debt, they lower your IQ by something like almost between 11 and 20 points?
I think that's
a lot, man.
I feel like I drank a lot in college based on like thinking about where the money was going to come from, or working,
how am I going to
working and going to school, and dude, it's not fun.
The fact that they have proven that poverty lowers your IQ, that in itself should be like, God, dude, we gotta do something about this poverty shit, bro.
Yeah,
this shit ain't no game, dude. It's making people dumber. Now, these people, we sit here saying that these people would be smarter if they had more resources.
Society would be better off. Yeah, if we just helped everyone more inside our country.
That shit's crazy.
Yeah,
that shit crazy.
Bereavement, obviously losing anyone death-wise can.
Of course.
I mean, I've seen it set family members just into tailspins of lives, and it's hard to watch. And it's really for that. I mean, I guess there's always people that can quote unquote snap, and maybe you're not coming back from that. But I feel like a lot with the bereavement it's a time issue.
Yeah,
it's that realizing that happens with everyone always. That is literally the only thing we can count on in life, is that we will die.
Death and taxes.
Yeah, well, I guess taxes. Not everyone. I feel like people get around it.
Wesley didn't.
Wow, calling him out twice in the episode. You want to throw a last name on there?
No. Wesley Snipes.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought you were talking about West. You just said mentioned.
Nah.
Listen to this episode.
Like that. Damn, you coming at me for my taxes?
Damn, you said his whole name, full name. What's his middle name?
Wesley W. Henry.
Wesley Wallace. Severe or long-term stress. Yeah, obviously that can be a cause of it. Yeah. Having long-term physical health condition. I feel like this goes hand in hand a lot with the PTSD with soldiers. I'm sure having a lost limb or just having a disability, losing your eyesight, whatever, based on what happened in war, that's really going to take a toll on your brain, and it's hard to say go get help. People don't want to because of the stigmatism that our society puts on it. Why do we do it? Why?
and it goes back to how we both felt before we felt it. Because honestly,
Yeah, I guess.
if the mental health thing had started hitting me back when I thought that way, there's no way I'm telling a fucking soul because I thought I was a bitch for doing it.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm uttering a fucking
Not saying
semblance
anything.
to anyone.
Yep.
And I think that's why, and especially amongst men, I don't think that the pressure is similar amongst women, because there's this understanding that women can be more open and expressive about their feelings and
Yeah,
what
I
they're
get
going
what you're
through,
saying.
and
Yep.
that, and for women, it's a sign of strength. Whereas for men, if you're going through anything mentally or emotionally or whatever, admitting that you are is a sign of weakness in our society.
Stuff that shit down.
Yeah,
Don't tell nobody.
just to the fucking just swallow that
Just
shit.
stuff
bruh.
it down till you explode at one point, and then
Till you murder 10 people,
Pick up
then
the
we'll
pieces
talk about it.
and stuff those back down.
Once you murder 10 people, then we'll talk about it from a jail cell.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
You ain't gonna help me?
Nope,
Like,
not good.
Think about how many people out there who have committed heinous crimes that if there had just been a time where they felt good enough or safe enough to speak about this with their family, with their friends, with the public, think about how many lives could have been saved. I think, because most mass murders are committed by men, if not all.
Yeah.
So, and I think a lot of these men are suffering, and
For sure.
I think if they had an outlet, things would have went differently. So,
Well, you would hope so.
I would hope so.
You can hope that, a lot of people that have these mental health conditions that commit the murders or, what have you, that they could be helped if we got to them in time. I mean, we talked about it on the gun episode a little bit, whether, a lot of it's not about the guns. I mean, there's guns. They're not going anywhere. We can't really solve it by taking guns away.
Of course.
You know how you solve it is looking closer at the people that want the guns.
Yeah.
Make sure they're not crazy as fuck before you give them a gun.
Yep.
And I say crazy in an endearing way because, everyone has something, whether it's little or big. You got to get some help somehow.
Somewhere, somehow. I don't care how you do it. Just there needs to be a slight shift in our perception of people who mentally are not iron cages. Are some people, men and women, both out there who mentally cannot be shaken? And fucking bravo
Yeah,
for
good
you.
for you.
Bravo. But that is not the majority of people. The majority of people lie in that 80%. There's that 20%.
Yeah, but as we said, I mean, no, you don't. Most people don't like to say anything. You know, it maybe now it's with everyone sharing everything about their lives on social media and out there on the internet.
No.
It might be easier for people to ask for help now. I don't know. What do you think? Now that our lives are kind of more open, or is it less likely you're going to ask for help because someone might find out now?
I think it's less likely because the way lives are curated on social media, they seem so perfect that people don't want to.
Plus, anytime anyone has an outburst that you would maybe relate to a mental health issue, people are like, fuck them, shut them down. Roseanne, like you can never be working again, employed again. We're cancel culturing you right now.
And I mean, shit, look, even when it happens in real life, when whether it's a friend, whether it's a relationship, an intimate partner, when somebody loses their cool, I actually empathize with them more than get angry at them. Because I'm like, I understand you lost your cool, especially if it's something that I understand that I did that caused it. It's like, oh, I forgot to do this, or I said this, and you lost your shit. That's a human response. I completely get that. But when you do that online, it just seems as an attack, right? And you don't see the hurt behind somebody who may be expressing that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So you can't read their body language, their emotion. When somebody might be screaming at you and they might be crying at the same time. But on the internet, you don't see the tears. You just see the letters of this person saying, fuck you, go to hell and die, where they could be fucking hurting like shit too. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Deep.
Like the rivers, bro. the waters of Lake Minnetonka.
Purify yourself. Unemployment or losing your job can also be a cause. I would also say having a job that you don't,
fucking
a
shitty
career,
job.
career you don't enjoy, something of that nature.
No.
It's like a ticking time bomb. Homelessness or poor housing.
Yeah, that
Very
makes
true.
sense.
So I mean, obviously, there's a huge homeless problem in our country. So
Mm-hmm.
there's probably a huge chance that most of them have a mental illness of some kind, and they have no possible way of getting help.
Nope.
And they turn to drugs, alcohol, probably shorten their lifespans quite a bit based on not having housing and food.
Yeah.
It's that's a hard one to combat, really.
And this is a chicken or egg problem, because they say a lot of the people who are homeless have mental health issues. But is it that people became homeless then had mental health issues
I bet
because
it's
of
a
the
lot of that.
homelessness?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Or is it that they had mental health
stress
issues
that led to their homelessness? Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure,
Yeah.
man. I guarantee that's got to be part of it.
Mhm.
It's got to be a huge part of it.
Mm-hmm.
The stress of whatever led to their homelessness, whether that was being out of work or some type of addiction or something that they're not able to overcome without some sort of help from someone else. But also the stigmatism, it's always going to play a part.
Because the narrative for the most part is that these people had mental health issues which led them to be homeless. We don't discuss that there might be a nuance of somebody hitting some hardship, becoming homeless, then because of that developing a mental health issue. That's a narrative I seldom hear.
Yeah, it is. It really is one you seldom hear.
Yeah.
I didn't even know this one. Just kind of stuck out to me. Being a long-term carer for someone that can cause mental health issues, like, are they talking about caring for your family members long-term, or are they talking about people that do that for a living?
I think both, man.
Oh, fuck. I just thought about people that do that for a living. You care for dying people all the time?
Fuck.
Oh,
Fuck, bro.
damn, that's got to be depressing as shit. I mean, it's going to
How?
be great for those people, maybe, as company to them, but fuck, just having to see the end of what will be, if you make it that far. It's not great.
I talked to a lady so there was a gentleman in my office who passed away while they were at a celebration for the company. He passed away, and the guy sat out of our office, so a lot of people from our office knew him. So it hit a lot of people really hard, and the girl who sits next to me was really close to him, so it fucked up a lot of people in our office, and it was a really tough time for most people. So they brought in a grief counselor, and I went and I spoke to her just to people like that intrigue me. So I gotta speak to you. And she is, she deals a lot with taking care of people who are on their deathbed, taking care of people who are dealing with somebody who is on their deathbed, and just talking to her. I'm like, yo, how do you deal with it? And she was like, I just kind of, deal with it, I guess. She's like, I'm not that type of, because I asked her about my emotional responses, because to me, this is what I'm having. When something very big happens, I react instantly and big to small shit, but big shit, I'm calmer, I'm subdued, and I'm like, all right, how do I go about this? I'm more thoughtful when big shit happens.
Because it's a bigger situation to analyze and then figure out how to react to it.
I know I got to but if you fucking kick my shoe over that I set up perfect, I'll lose my shit over that, right? And I'm like, most people don't react that way, and then they also see me as a cold and callous person because I react that way. And I'm like, am I a crazy person for acting that way? And she was like, no, that's exactly how I react. And I took that as a little bit of I walked away from that saying all right, that's not bad, because
also the doctors make the best patients, so maybe you're just aligning with what her ideal patient was really looking like.
Oh, maybe.
Hey, just a different perspective.
No, maybe. I didn't think about that.
No, I always think about that with therapists. Who is their therapist? Who they talk to the mirror?
That's a good question.
They're talking to
dog.
themselves. Hey, how you doing, doc? Just right, just doing their own review. How you feeling today?
That's a
in
good
their
question.
Notebook.
But it's easier to take care of somebody else's shit.
But if they go to a therapist of their own, are they analyzing the therapist while the therapist is analyzing them?
100%.
Yeah, they're just
100%.
You ain't doing this right. This ain't gonna help me.
Hey, let me see that notebook, bruh.
This ain't gonna help me. Are you scribbling? Are you just drawing pictures?
Yeah, no. Who helps the helper? Who
It's
created?
weird to think
who
about.
created God?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Because really, they only just have a degree, and that's they're just going about It's like, hey, there's all these different theories, there's all these different ways of thinking. Let's try a couple of these, and then hey, if not, let's try some SSRIs. Let's try different medicines. I mean, Xanax, antidepressants of some kind, something to even you out. I mean, there's so many different, and that's what we haven't really talked about yet is treatments.
Yeah.
A lot of drugs, and that's one thing that I just never wanted to do was take any type of pill or anything. I've taken some Xanax for like panic attacks or anxiety, but I just would refuse to take something on a daily basis that's going to change your brain chemistry.
No way.
But you know, there's people that maybe that works very well for. You know,
and it does.
They have a, I guess as the experts would call it, a chemical imbalance of some kind, and you're balancing that out. But I, for one, would be scared of the process of figuring out what medicine to get on, in terms of like, if I had something like that, that's got to be crazy. Like, the doctor's like, yeah, let's try a little bit of this, that doesn't work, let's mix a little of this, take a little bit of that out. Like, that seems sketchy.
Dexter's Laboratory, bro.
That seems, I like that show, or used to.
No,
I don't still watch it.
I currently
like
that show.
I didn't know it was on.
Pinky in the Brain as well.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, no, I remember when I first started going on my journey of seeing a therapist and all that, and I remember the first doctors I saw, they immediately first visit SSRIs, prescription meds, and I said, get the fuck out of here. I walked out of the office. I'm like, I'm trying to speak to a professional that can walk me through this and is not going to just push pills down my throat. But that's kind of that's the way that that's the medical profession right now. That if you go seeking long-term help, they're like, that's too costly. That takes too much of my time. Here, how about you take these pills, so and I can get you out of here in 10 minutes, then see the next patient 10 minutes. I can maximize that rather than having to sit down with you for an hour and figure out what you're really going through.
Yeah.
Because then that if I sit down with you for an hour and I'm doing 10 over 60 minutes, like, that's 6 patients I'm not going to get to see because I'm talking to you.
It's not profit.
You know?
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, some of the more, I guess, ones we're aware of in terms of causes, you know, significant trauma as an adult, such as military combat, domestic violence,
Of course.
some type of serious physical incident of some kind, like a violent crime or anything you're a victim of. And then physical causes like a head injury or neurological condition that can, I mean, that's one where it's like, damn, that you can't help at all. You got a head trauma. That's why, I mean, it makes you think about athletes. I mean, we've talked about it before in terms of concussions and things in football. How do they turn it off when they get off the field? A lot of them don't, and then you see them hitting people that are close to them. I mean, you probably don't see most of it. There's probably a lot of times where there's violence committed by hockey players or football players or fucking NASCAR drivers. Maybe they're probably violent as hell.
Man, Dale Earnhardt's podcast on Joe Rogan was so vulnerable,
really cool.
And I was like, wow, man, that took a lot of courage for you to speak about concussions and what
some
they've
of the
done
head
to
trauma
you.
he went through was wild.
Was intense.
Yeah, he
man.
couldn't drive for a long
Dude
time.
couldn't walk,
and then eventually was like, I'm done. Yep.
And they were still encouraging him to get back in that car.
Yep. Yeah. Money, profit. It's all about the money.
I think about that all the time. And then you obviously you hear the stories about football players the most. Yeah. Because obviously look at their job description.
Yeah. There's a lot of guns involved with football players, though, in terms of how those situations end up playing out in terms of suicide, or I know there was that Chiefs player that turned a gun on his family.
He killed his girlfriend and then killed himself.
Yeah.
And then I hope this comes off right. You sit there and ask yourself, was it his fault? Would he have done it without football?
Yeah.
Was he in control?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Because, I mean, you start football at a very young age. Most of the time. You're a kid.
Right.
You're told it's fun. You know, encouraged by coaches and parents forever. And then they say you're good and they keep encouraging you forever and ever.
Until you're in the NFL.
Yeah. And then you get head trauma and then that happens. And it's got to be somewhat always in your control. At least a certain percentage.
Let me ask you this. We just talked about the ants and the wasp and stuff and the fungi. I mean, these grasshoppers dive into water against their own will because it's going to
crazy.
help that the fungi in them grow.
Yeah.
And how do, and it happens to humans beings with parasites as well. So when your brain is affected that much by that much trauma, how do you then say this guy was 100% in control, you know? And I'm not trying to justify this guy's actions,
no.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at what point do we say control is relinquished and he would, if it wasn't for all this trauma, he would not have otherwise done it?
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's shit. I mean, you got people that have schizophrenia that, I mean, shit, who's in control there? You know, how many personalities you have, how many voices you have. It's hard to say, where your actual control ends in your brain or some section that you're not able to. It's almost like it's there and you're along for the ride, but there's portions of it where it's like, okay, player two's got this. Player two's got this.
He's on a roll, bruh.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. It's
Wait,
wild.
do I know player two? Nope, you've never met him, but he got this.
It's not split screen. He's not sitting beside you. He's
in
somewhere
Asia.
else.
He's online.
Somewhere else.
He's hacked into your
y'all
system.
Can't even chat. A lot of in terms of the treatments for it, obviously we talked about drugs. You have on here just being aware of it, you know, making sure that you're not stifling it and just pushing it away and making it not a thing in your life, you know, being aware of it and making sure you're staying up to date on what's going on in your brain.
I always try to ask myself, why am I thinking the way I'm thinking? Is it rational? Is the way I'm thinking right now in this moment, if I'm angry right now, did somebody say or do something to me that I legitimately have a right to be angry? If I'm anxious right now, do I have a real reason to be anxious? Now, you got to be careful there as well, because your mind can play tricks on you and convince you that you should be angry, anxious, so on and so forth. But I try to take a constant stock of what's going on in my brain, and I feel that is at least the first step to try to figure out what's going on in your own head. You know, just be very conscientious of what you're thinking.
Yep.
You know,
that makes perfect sense.
You know, and then the second one is nourish your social life. That goes without saying. Have friends, spend time with your friends and family. I mean, you want a cheat code to preventing mental health issues? Be around people you love and appreciate, man.
And that goes into number 3 that you have listed there, which is peer support. Just support from your peers. Time for therapeutic activities, whether that's
yoga,
meditation, working out, sleep.
Yeah, bruh,
that's a huge one. Sleep.
Key.
That was a big thing for me. I feel like back in maybe the fall of last year, started just being more conscious of going to bed at a certain time most nights and waking up at the same time most days. And your body just gets in more of a rhythm of, okay, I'm going to go to bed now. I can go to sleep now. I will stay asleep now. All that stuff. And then you just feel better. You know, it just helps improve everything. Eating right, that's a huge one. I mean, just making sure that testing out what is good for you and not following what people say. Like, there's different shit is good for different people. It's completely different for, you know, between me and Lydia. I mean, my significant other and I eat completely different sometimes. So,
bro, if you eat right, sleep right, and exercise, man, just start there.
Yeah.
Eat right, sleep right, exercise. If after that you're having
drink some water,
and obviously that goes with the eat right, you know what I mean? But like, if you're doing those 3 things and you're still suffering from mental health issues,
brush your teeth.
That works as well. But if you're doing those 3 core things and you're still feeling really fucked up, all right, yo, you really need to go see somebody. But yo, if you're not exercising, if you're not sleeping right, if you're not eating right, like, and you're feeling like shit, come on. Come on, yo.
Yeah.
Start there.
Yeah.
Start there.
I mean, that's a big one. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What else? Look after. Same stuff. Contact a specialist organization or just a specialist in general, I guess. Some other ones you don't have on here that I just had were some type of experimental treatments.
Like MAPS. Yeah, so MAPS is is they're the ones doing the Mali studies with soldiers coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan.
PTSD.
Yep, with PTSD.
Yeah, yeah, MDMA.
I signed up for those.
Yeah, that's right. Did you?
I did.
What they say?
So I logged in and I signed up, but the studies are for only somebody with PTSD, and they're only
military
done in
service.
Georgia and stuff.
Oh.
So I'm just waiting until they're opened up to like the general public.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a couple years it'll be open, but yeah, there can be some great experimental treatments out there, and they're only experimental because they're not yet legal.
FDA approved.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, there's a host of things that could be legal soon. I know psilocybin from mushrooms could be one of those as well, along with MDMA, in order to cure types of depression, anxiety, and PTSD and things of that nature. So I've actually myself dabbled in a little microdosing. Actually, recently, that hike last week I went on was a little microdose. It was nice. It was very nice.
Yeah,
my brain was very calm out in nature. Yeah. My friend almost fell in the water. It was funny. Good stuff.
Dude, hiking is my shit. I love, man. You know what I
fucking
noticed?
Nice outside.
Yeah, that's number one. During the winter, especially in the places where it gets cold, we tend to stay inside a lot. We don't get a lot of sunlight. That definitely affects our mood and our health.
Yes. What is that called?
Seasonal.
Yeah.
And something depression. So but
it's seasonal depression.
Yeah, seasonal depression. It's a real thing.
Yeah, the sun is your friend. Vitamin D for sure. I know I have a spray that you can get that you can spray.
The vitamin D spray?
Yeah, it has no taste. It's weird, but
that scares me.
you can supplement that stuff in the winter. Sometimes it helps.
Yeah, no, I just watching these shows like on Animal Planet and Discovery, and watching the way other animals live life, and then analyzing my own. It's like it just feels just feels like some inconsistency there, that it feels like as I'm watching like a group of elephants or a group of monkeys, I'm like, I feel like that's how I should be living.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what life was supposed to be like. Not saying I'm not happy with what I have now.
With technology and all.
Yeah, I'm happy with it, but there seems to be a better way of merging the two, to where you can where there's a better feeling for the meaning of life. Along with like all great shit that technology brings with it.
Yeah, it does. There's some connection missing almost that we're not privy to, that we, I don't know, we try to, as you said, try to stay inside during the winter, go outside during the summer, but it's hard to feel that connection with nature now with all the technology that we have. So it's almost as valuable to be in contact with nature in some form or fashion just as it is to be in contact with people.
I agree, man.
I mean, shit, we were talking about this on the hike, and it could have been the shrooms, but it's plants and air. They put out all the air that we breathe. Yeah. And have you ever just gone? You ever gone by and just like smack the flower?
I do that shit
sticking
all the time.
Out too far in the sour. Get out of here. That flower just like, you knocked my fucking head off. I was hoping you breathed. I was breathing. I was converting CO2 to oxygen for your ass.
Dude, let me ask you this: when is the last time your bare feet have felt natural earth?
Oh, damn. I don't know. Probably last summer is the last time I had my. I mean, it's been cold.
Isn't that fucking crazy?
I like having my socks on when it's cold.
Is it? But I'm just saying. No, I'm just saying. I'm not. Even in your bare feet, like that. I mean, you're still in the house. You're still on the sidewalk. This grass has been moved. It's been. When's your last time you have run your feet through grass that's been untouched by?
Probably like August last year or something like that.
Do you know what I mean? That's to me. That's not. I don't think that's.
Months.
I don't think that's good.
Yeah, probably not. No.
I don't think that's good, man. Like, I'm going to Africa in August for 2 weeks, bro.
You should wear shoes though.
I'm not wearing shoes.
In some places that you should probably wear shoes. Though. Are you going near animals?
Free zone. No. I'm gonna wear shoes. Obviously,
yeah, I was gonna say
for the most part.
You can see like some sweet animals.
Oh, we're going. You know the eighth wonder of the world. One of the 8 wonders of the world, the Great Migration.
I couldn't name but one.
So there's China. I believe I might be saying.
What is the Great Migration? It's
the Great Wall of China is one of the 8 wonders of the world. Correct. And the Great Migration is where in the summer where the rains come in and the wildebeest start transversing across the Serengeti. They cross this part called the Mara River, and there's millions of wildebeest crossing at one time. So what ends up happening is all the predators congregate in this at this river
You're
crossing.
gonna go see that?
Yep.
Can you take pictures?
I'm thinking about buying a $3,000 camera just for the fucking trip.
Wow. Yeah,
Like
that would be sweet.
it's gonna be fucking bananas. I'm gonna see
That's
every
crazy.
fucking natural predator to Africa in one spot, bro.
Hey, mental health. Yes, you get out there.
Oh, it's
you're not,
gonna be fucking
yeah,
crazy.
you're gonna
dude.
feel like a speck to those like whatever's attacking them. Lions.
Yes, all of
Oh.
it, all of it. And dude, I was having this conversation with somebody the other day. She's from Guatemala, and she could relate to this. There's this feeling as someone who's Kenyan. I've been back a few times, and I can't explain it. Even though I've spent 99% of my time in America, born here, lived here, raised here, I'm part of this culture. There's just, when I step off the plane in Kenya, I just feel like I'm at home. I cannot, and it's weird, man. Like, whenever people say, like, I feel like I'm supposed to be here, I'm like, I think there might be something to that.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I step out there, I'm like, why do I feel at peace instantly, bro?
Yeah.
It's wild shit, man.
I'm sure.
It's wild shit.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for this trip. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Sounds
man.
like it's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's gonna be a fucking
And
blast.
definitely good for mental health.
Oh, it's gonna change my mental health, bro. So I'm excited to just get away for a little bit, go see the motherland, go see a bunch of people, celebrate and see family. I'm taking
Nice.
my girl with me.
Nice.
My brother's coming. And my brother's bringing friends with him. And then I think one of my other boys, he hit me up. He's like, yo, I want to take a long trip this summer. Where you trying to go? I was like, I'm going to Africa in August. You want to go? He's like, yeah.
Is it hot in Africa in August?
Yeah, but it's dry heat.
Oh, okay. But is that
hot
like
as fuck, but
is
it's
that
dry
summertime in Africa?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be hot as a bitch, bro.
Because where is Kenya in terms of hemisphere?
It's on the it's Kenya's east. So it's like...
Is there Eastern Hemisphere? Is there an Eastern Hemisphere? Wait. Is there an Eastern Hemisphere or is there just North and South? I think it's just North and South. Because how would you do that on a circle? It's just North and South. All right. Because there's not an equator that goes up and down, right? Okay. Just making sure. You for a second I was like, wait a second. Did I not learn something?
No. So Kenya is part of East Africa.
Oh, okay.
So it's like you know how
that's what you're saying.
You know how yeah, that's what I meant. So you know how Africa's that thing that goes like this and then it comes like here. So if you start at South Africa and you just stay along and then you know that part that juts out and then you go a little bit up, there goes Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's probably right above the equator then.
Yes.
So it's hot.
It's close. It's close.
So it's hot as fuck.
But you do get some humidity, but it's mostly a drier heat.
It's hotter in Virginia.
Yeah. So yes, dude, I'd be in fucking Africa over Virginia every day of the week,
it's
bro.
gonna be hot this summer.
It's gonna be muggy as fuck.
Global warming, hotter every summer.
Here we go.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hot as ball sacks, bro. I'm not looking forward to it.
Well, you got anything else around mental health you want to get into, or?
No, I think we've covered. We didn't cover everything, obviously, but I think we've covered the majority of things that come to the forefront of people's mind when they think about mental health.
I had some phobias up, and I was like, you know what, I probably shouldn't make fun of people with the phobias.
Wait, do you have any phobias?
I don't think so.
I got a phobia.
I'm sure I have something irrational I'm scared of.
I am paralyzingly afraid of spiders.
Yeah, that's probably. I feel like that's super common.
And snakes as well.
Well, yeah, isn't that the one where babies now it's like programming the human DNA that they're scared? Like babies are straight up scared right away, even though they don't know what it is.
Really?
Yeah.
That makes
sense. Oh, you didn't know that?
That makes sense.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Read or heard that somewhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Did
some tests where they showed them pictures or had them in the same room as like a spider. Or
why
a snake.
would you do that?
Maybe it was pictures. It
I was
probably
about
pictures.
to say,
but they were
bro.
like scared of the pictures already, and it was like, what? You don't.
Right?
That's weird.
Isn't
you were
that
just born?
We evolved that way to because
now I guess,
Yeah.
but I mean, so those are common, I guess. But what I was saying,
you're talking about like more like a phobia of left shoes.
Yeah, that's what I looked up when you were talking earlier.
Yeah.
I looked up like funniest. Maybe I didn't. Funniest phobias. I mean, that's kind of bad, but
I mean,
here it was.
People are scared of a lot of different shit, man.
The 25 strangest phobias.
Okay. Let's do the top 10. Let's do the top 10.
It's one of them. Click the next pages. You're trying to get clicks.
Like, oh my God, what was that?
I'm gonna go next again because it's probably not top 10. Oh, Jussie Smollett.
Back at it again.
He said he's not gonna pay for the investigation. I was like, damn, that's kind of fucked up.
He's a savage, bro.
Yeah, it's like you caused the whole investigation. What are you talking about?
You out here, dude. I was gonna say some fucked up shit about Smollett, but I'm just gonna let that shit live, man.
Nah, we'll. I think it's. We can get into the phobias at a different time. Just don't want to be insensitive to anyone.
Yeah. No, fair enough. But
yeah. Well, that's been episode 14.
Cool.
A little mental health for you guys. We'll be back next week with another topic that we will decide on at a later date.
We love y'all. Stay healthy.
Pull up in motorcades. I got a show today. It's all I'm trying to do.